Think of dealing with stress as numbers. Let's say we are the number zero. Right now, life is going pretty okay. Nothing too bad, nothing too good. Let's say we start failing in school and all of our friends start talking about us. There's a whole bunch of drama going on. Come home and the parents, they start arguing. That puts your stress level down to -10. And because you're stressed out, you picked up smoking. Now, smoking has more negative effects than positive effects. Smoking is a temporary reliever. Smoking causes more stress in the long run. It also physically damages yourself. So it wouldn't be deemed as a positive number since it has more negative effects. It would be deemed as -5. So you start smoking and your negativity went down to -5, even though you don't quite notice it because it gets rid of the other bad things temporarily, but that's only temporary. So the bad just comes right back. And it's even worse because smoking has more bad effects than if you weren't smoking. So you ultimately made everything worse by smoking. Let's say good things represent positive numbers. Let's say cleaning your room after it's been dirty for so long. Cleaning actually scientifically can be deemed as a stress reliever, and it has a positive effect because not only is your room clean, but you made your parents happy because it's been dirty for so long and it's no longer dirty. So now it looks clean. Now you can say that you cleaned your room. That's a positive effect. It has a bunch of different positive effects. It actually doesn't even have any negative effects. The only negative effect that cleaning your room had was the fact that you had to clean your room. And now that you cleaned your room, there are no negative effects. So let's say cleaning your room represents 20. Your stress level went from -15 to 20. So now you're happy. Now you're no longer in the negatives. Now you're in the positives because you decided to clean your room. But the second you pick back up that cigarette, it goes right back down to zero because -5 plus 5 is just zero. So you did all of that just to end up right back where you were. Let's say you do something positive again. You do your homework finally after not doing any of your assignments. So you did your work, you turned it in, and now your grade went up. Hooray. That puts you at a +7. But as soon as you smoke again, it puts you right back down to +2. But here's the thing about repeatedly doing bad habits is that it becomes an addiction and they get worse. So ultimately, those negative numbers become more negative. Because, like I said, um, smoking actually can increase your stress over time. So it went from -5 to -10. Now you're back in the negatives. You're at -2 because you did your homework and you got better grades. Cool, that was 7. But constantly smoking put you to -2 because 7 plus 10 is -2. And it's going to keep going down and down from there. So ultimately, what you need to do is to stop falling into bad habits, to try to improve yourself in order for you not to fall back into those habits. And you can do so by starting to do more good habits too. If you start to do more good habits that are healthier, by default, your brain will automatically recognize that you no longer need to smoke in order to stay positive. By simply doing more positive things that have positive effects, you won't no longer need to feel the need to smoke. Now, when it becomes an addiction, now it's a need. Now you always feel like you need to smoke, even when you're doing the good things. But when it's an addiction and you're constantly doing it, all these good things are outweighed by the bad things. They are totally outweighed because the longer and longer you smoke, the more negative the number gets. And it might get too big to the point where we're at negative 100. Now you have to do all of these positive things just to be neutral, just to stay at that big number 0, because the negative is so much bigger now because you keep on doing it. The negative keeps on going down and down and down and down and down. So now you have to reach 100 just for it to go right back down to 0. And that's a lot of positive things you have to do. And that's normally how it goes. It keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And eventually you'll be in a positivity debt, whereas you're always stressed out and nothing you do makes you feel happy anymore but smoking. That's where people get stuck in this hole. And here's how you dig out of that hole. You have to slowly, in sections, stop falling into bad habits. A lot of people think like, oh, just put the cigarette down. Oh, just stop smoking. Oh, just stop falling into bad habits. No, because when the bad habits become addictions, you can't just stop doing them. The best way to beat an addiction is to stop by sections. Slowly stop doing it. Don't try to force yourself by willpower to continue to try to get out of this addiction. You have to start by setting small goals. Okay, we're not going to look at our phone for 2 hours throughout the day. Then those 2 hours was nothing. So let's go to 3 hours after about a week of 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And then it keeps increasing week by week by week. It eventually, after 3 months, you won't be addicted to your phone anymore. And to even better prevent yourself from falling into the bad habit of being addicted to your phone again, you should find something else better to be addicted to. They call it an obsession, not an addiction. Like working out. You can be obsessed with working out. Your obsession with working out will outweigh your addiction to your phone. You just have to find something else more healthy or more better to do to outweigh the negative. Now you're in the positive 100 instead of negative 100, because you got out of that addiction and now you don't feel like you need to be on your phone 24/7. And when you have something else better to do, you barely won't do that thing at all. You barely will touch your phone if you're doing something else that occupies you more. Just like smoking. Let's say it's like it works in reverse. Like you constantly smoking makes you do less positive things because it causes you to be stressed out. And when you're stressed out, you by default don't do any positive things. It causes your whole mood to go down. And it works in reverse. The more positive things you do and the more obsessed you become with doing these positive things, it outweighs the negative. So you wouldn't even want to smoke anymore. And to seal the deal, you would actually realize that doing this more positive thing is better than smoking, and smoking is bad. You come to that final conclusion and you did it. You beat that addiction and you found something way better to do than what you were doing before. So now you can only keep going from there. What this whole thing was about is about self-improvement. It's beautiful. It's an art within itself. Self-improvement means to constantly get better. And to constantly get better is to constantly try to become your best. Now, ultimately, we don't have a best. We don't have any limits at all. The word better means to constantly keep going and going and going and getting at your best and at your best and at your best. But there's always beyond your best. That sets the new best. You ever went to an arcade and you got a high score and you try to beat that high score? It's the same thing with self-improvement. You reached a level and you're like, oh, I'm the best. But you have to understand that that might be your best right now, but due to the fact that we are humans and we have the ability to constantly change, and to constantly improve, that best will end up being just you. And then you would set a new best. Because if you're already winning at something and somebody else is winning just as much as you, and then you see somebody else winning more than you, that shows you that there's levels to this. You thought you were the best at this game because you were at the top of the leaderboard. But you go against somebody in that same game and they may not be at the top of the leaderboard, but they are somehow better than you. So now you know that there's another level to achieve, and there will always be another level to achieve. So that's why you should constantly improve and not settle. Because going back to our example of smoking and falling into bad habit, if you settle for just getting out of that bad habit, you have to understand that you probably have more than one bad habit to get out of. You fell into that bad habit, but you have to understand that you do other bad things too. It wasn't just smoking. There's other bad things you do that also causes you stress. But you have to do the same thing you did for your phone addiction, for smoking, to get out of these things. You got to do the same thing you did for those things. It's the same thing you do for all things. This is the art of constantly getting better, constantly improving, never settling for just where you're at. Because once your best becomes the norm, that means there's a new best. Once you clean your room every single day and don't go back to smoking, that is your best, but it becomes your norm. And what it does, it falls into a loop. We have a loop. When we live our day by day, you notice that a lot of the same things happen throughout the day, like almost exactly the same. There are minor things, minor changes that happen throughout our day, and they are so minor. But once you make a big change and leave it at that big change no longer becomes a change. Like, you start cleaning your room every single day, but that's the only thing that you did. So now cleaning your room every single day is part of that loop. The loop could be eat, sleep, go to school, and repeat. Oh, and I forgot to include that big change you decided to do, which is cleaning your room. You eat, clean your room, sleep, go to school. Okay, you just added something else to your loop. And in order to break out of the loop, you have to keep adding to it. Because the more you add to the loop, the bigger the loop gets, and eventually the loop will break. Think about it as like a basketball. You fill the basketball with air, and the basketball gets bigger. And basketball is bigger, and you bounce it around, and it's more bouncy, but eventually it's like the basketball starts to deflate again, and you have to keep pumping it up and pumping it up and pumping it up. This is the loop. The basketball is the loop. You have to keep on feeding the loop, feeding the loop, feeding the loop. But if you feed the loop enough, if you pump the basketball enough, the basketball will explode. And the basketball is the loop. So when the loop breaks, you are no longer bound to just the things that happen every single day in your life. Now every single day of your life is like a completely different day. There's more adventure, there's more things to do, more discoveries, more room to improve, more everything. It's the key to break out of any sort of sadness that you have because your days are boring. They're boring because you do the same exact things. Us humans have to constantly stay at a constant state of entertainment or dopamine. But by doing the same things every single day causes that dopamine to go down because you're getting more bored. And it causes you to want to chase after it more. And when humans chase after dopamine, it's normally instant because that's the easiest thing to do, right? Instant dopamine is the quickest way to reaching that level of entertainment throughout your days. It's the quickest way to not be bored. But if you go through the harder process, not only is it a longer, better, healthier process, but it also is a more longer lasting source of dopamine that you can keep throughout all of your days, and that makes your entire life more exciting. It makes you want to live more. If you ever find yourself in a spot where you don't want to live more, make a change. Make a change, and maybe you'll find what you really want to live for. You would find the true meaning of life, because the true meaning of life is for you to figure it out, is for you to find out what it is life is for, because everyone's life is different. So everybody else will find a different reason to live. But you have to find it first. You have to go out and explore. You have to change a lot of things. And improvement is to change, but for the better. Don't change for the worse, because that adds to that negative number, that adds to that negativity. And the whole world has a negativity number too. Right now, we're in the negative quadrillions right now. But you being positive takes away from that negative. It makes it more positive. So you make an impact on the world by simply being positive. You can make somebody else's day. You can make somebody else change their mind about leaving the world just by simply being positive. You being positive might make the tiniest impact on the world, but it's an impact nonetheless. You being negative also makes an impact on the world. Tiny or not, it makes an impact. And it probably is going to be tiny, but that tiny impact adds to a larger amount of negativity. Versus you adding positivity adds that tiny amount of positivity, but that takes away from the negativity. You make the smallest change, but the change is still a change. Think about it like this. You decide to start collecting pennies off the ground. Now, you may be like, well, it's a penny. It's just 1 cent. What am I going to get with a penny? Well, right now you can't get nothing with the penny. But the more and more you collect pennies, the more and more it adds up. And if you collect 100 pennies, it'll add up to $1. And $1 can get you a lot of different things in this world. With the study of inflation, it slowly gets less likely that you can buy anything with that $1. But there still are things you can buy with that $1. And let's take a deeper dive into that. Let's say inflation within the US economy is just like the negativity in the world. The negativity keeps going and going and going. But the more you collect pennies, the more money you get. That takes away from the inflation, because inflation goes up due to work efforts and a whole bunch of different other stuff. But if you collecting pennies can contribute, even if it is a small amount, to deflation. Deflation within the negativity within the world that's constantly inflating. You being positive does make a tiny amount in the world, but it makes something. It's something. It's one tiny step to a bigger future. I mean, you being positive can make somebody else be positive. It's like a virus to combat another virus. It's like a vaccine. Like, you being positive can make somebody else positive. Then when they're positive, it can make somebody else positive. Unfortunately, positivity doesn't spread as fast as negativity though. So it's like a race. You being positive contributes to that race of making the world positive. Now, unfortunately, I am going to come to the truth. The world will never be positive, but you making it more negative isn't helping either though. You making it negative speeds up the process of more humans being more negative. And that will eventually lead to human extinction, because we can't get along so much to the point where we just start fighting each other, and then that'll be the end of us. That'll be the end of the world. See, it's more than just you. It's the world that you impact just off of the tiniest things you do. You have to think about that. You can't be selfish. Or you can be selfish, but be selfish in a positive way. Think about it like this. Let's say you live in your own little world, which you are, which you should be doing. You shouldn't be worrying about everything else that happens in the world. But the smaller changes you do that helps your world, helps the world outside of your world too. Your world can be all positive. You did all of this, you did all of that. There is little to nothing wrong with the world that you live in, because you decided to make everything positive. That's good for you, but it's great for the world. Like, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. It's great for you, but good for the world. Like, you did great for you, but it does good for an even bigger picture than yourself. And it's to not be selfish that matters. It's just a spread of positivity. Be positive, be good. I promise it will pay off. It will.